What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a brand new profile thanks to Duelist Advanced, and this turn is the time of Artmages. Now it's not just going to be pure Artmage, no, we're going to be dusting off one of my old favourites, being the branded strategy as well. So this is Artmage featuring branded, and what I mean by that particular title is it means that the Artmage are going to take centre focused and the branded are going to be in here as a sub support engine to help the deck kind of be utilised a little bit more and work your way into some other fusion plays as well. So as I take you through the profile, talk you through all of the brand new Artmage cards, you'll see where the synergies come with the branded energy, and then you'll be able to see the rest of the branded cards that are being involved with inside this deck as to why they work and kind of go from there. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now you'll start to see there are some similarities between the Artmage strategy and of course the branded strategy, starting off with the fact of the Artmage have their own form of Albaz in the form of the Medius the Pure. So this is going to be your core centerpiece for the entire Artmages, as this just gets everything ticking, and a lot of your cards will say if you control Medius the Pure, you gain an additional effect. So this card on normal, especially, you get to add to your hand or special summon a power patron monster from your deck. And if this card is in the graveyard, you get to shuffle a monster from your hand or face up field into the deck. And if you do special summon this card, but you banish it when it leaves the field. So the patron card it's going to work its way into probably more times than not will be your Artmage power patron. So you can't special summon from the extra deck except fusion monsters, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, you get a quick effect to fusion summon an Artmage fusion monster or Nerva the Power Patron of Creation from your extra deck using this card you control from your hand and cards from your hand or field. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you get to add an Artmage spell or trap from the deck to the hand with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. So again, that's going to get you direct access to either a fusion spell, it's going to get you direct access to a protection spell, a disruption trap, or even into the field spell for just consistency. We then play 2 of the Artmage Grafflair. Now you can play 3 of this if you want to. These are all relatively cheap right now. The benefit of the Medius the Pure is it did already come as an ultra rare in the core set, but a secret rare as a sneak peek promo. So if you want to upgrade this deck, by all means you can do. You also have access to Starlights, but you can also keep it relatively low by getting the Medius the Pure as an ultra rare. And if you are interested in this deck strategy whatsoever, that's the one I highly advise you go and get first. Of course, if you can get access to the field spell, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, then by all means, but that's going to be a little bit more pricey than the rest. So the Grafflair, the first time this card would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control an Artmage card, you get to special summon this card from the hand. Then you get to set an Artmage spell from the deck. You get to target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it, and this is a quick effect if you have 3 or more different monster types on the field. And that's where your branding is going to come into play, because your branding can give you access to fiends, fairies, worms, dragons, you name it, you're going to have a nice bit of a range. We're then playing 1 of the Artmage Finmel. So your opponent cannot target level 6 or lower Artmage monster you control with effects. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control an Artmage card, you get to special on this card from the hand, and then you get to draw 1 card. During the main phase, if you have 3 or more different monster types on the field, you get a quick effect to negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. Also, until the end of the turn, their attacks become halved. So it makes everything a little bit weaker, makes everything a little bit easier to be destroyed, and then also negates their effects. So it's a nice blanket negation, as well as having a quick effect of the Grafflair to deal with back row as well. Then the last Artmage we're playing is the 1 Artmage Litera. So you take no damage from battles involving this card. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control an Artmage card, you get to special on this card from the hand, and then you get to add an Artmage card from the graveyard back to the hand. During your opponent's main phase, you get a quick effect to special on an Artmage monster from your hand or grave except itself, and then return this card from the field to the hand. So you can kind of see how this is going to get you direct access to working your way into Artmage Power Patron, as this is the card that's going to give you the ability to special summon and fusion summon into more aggressive disruptors, which is where it's going to get really, really important for you. Moving on to the field spell. Now this of course is the most expensive card from the Artmage strategy right now. So if you're able to pick them up, it's worth doing. You can get a playset for about 50 to £60 depending on where you're looking. And obviously Medius the Pure being a core component. So we're playing 3 of the Artmage Academic Arcane Arts Apophis. Jeez, what a lots. So during the main phase, you get to normal summon 1 Medius the Pure in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. You can discard 1 spell or trap and declare 1 Artmage monster card name that is not among the monsters you control and has not been declared for the Artmage Academy right this turn. Add that monster from the deck to your hand. Also, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except Artmage monsters, Medius to Pure, or from the extra deck. So again, very, very important. Not once did that say that you can only use that discard a spell to search once per turn. So when you have direct cards that basically just let you special summon themselves, if you have an Artmage card in rotation, you're going to be able to flood the field with as many as corresponding spell cards that you have the ability to discard, which is why it's such an important card. The additional normal summon is quite nice, because then that means that lets you get away with utilizing your Aluba, the Jester of Despia, a little bit more consistently, and you don't need to worry about, do I normal summon this or that? As long as you can work your way to the field spell, that's going to give you a little bit more to go for. Now you can place it 2 with 1 terraforming if you want to. You can play 3 and a terraforming, entirely up to you. I have chosen to go with 3 copies of the Artmage Arts instead, but it's entirely up to you on which way you'd want to go. We then play 3 Artmage Varnish Alteration. So place 1 Artmage Academy from your deck or graveyard face up into the field zone, or if you control an Artmage field spell already, you get to add an Artmage card from your deck to the hand instead, except itself. When your Artmage monster is targeted for an attack, you get to banish this card from the graveyard, negate the attack, and then you can special summon a Medius to Pure from the hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So again, it's a nice way of being able to place rather than search, so it lets you play around draw a little bit more, but then also giving you direct access to either the field spell or an Artmage monster just gives you a lot more consistency for the deck. We're then on 2 of the Artmage Vandalism Assault. Now you can play 3 of this if you want to. I'm still trying to figure out the ratios of what I'd want to lose in the branded. I feel that I'm a little bit more tied to some of the branded cards that could probably be sacrificed, that could be taken out to kind of open up the door for more Artmages, but I'm still kind of working away with the ratios to see which I feel fits my playstyle the best, and I'd highly advise you do the exact same to see which variants you want to be playing around with. So when this card is activated, you get to add an Medius Pure from the deck to the hand. You get to target a face-on monster you control. If that face-on monster would be used as fusion material this turn, it can be treated as an Artmage monster. You can only use the effect once per turn. If an Artmage field spell you control would be destroyed by card effect, you get to send this card you control to the graveyard instead, but you can only activate 1 Artmage Vandalism Assault per turn. So again, gives you direct access to the Medius Pure. It helps you protect your field spell, which sometimes is a lot of ways where your opponent will target the field spell to get rid of it, but then it also has that ability to treat one of your monsters as an Artmage monster, and the benefit of something like that is you can turn an Aluba Jester into an Artmage monster, so that when you are trying to make cards like your Artmage Dictorus, or of course your Nerva the Power, this requires 3 Artmage monsters, this requires Medius Pure plus an Artmage monster. So you start to control and dictate some of the cards that you're going to require, depending on no matter what you really have access to. Then we've got 1 Artmage Masterwork Succession. During the main phase, fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from the hand or field, including an Artmage monster. And if a card in its field zone, this monster gains 500 attack. During your main phase, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to target 3 Artmage cards with different names in the grave, shuffle them into the deck. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, it's a shame that it banishes itself so it can't recycle itself, but still, you can see how this is technically the Artmage version of Branded in Red, in a sense without the add back kind of effect, but this is how you're going to work your way into your Guardian Chimera. This can be your way to get you into a more disruptive fusion monster during your opponent's turn. The final Artmage spell, trap, or card that we are going to be playing for the main deck is the Artmage Pack Awakening. Special summon 1 Artmage monster or a Medius Pure from your deck. For the rest of the turn, the activation of your cards and effects that include an effect that fusion summon a fusion monster cannot be negated. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way, so their own version of Branded Lost. Very similar. You get to banish this card from the graveyard to then target 1 Artmage monster you control, return that monster to the hand or extra deck, and if you do, destroy 1 card your opponent controls. It's a shame, but you can only use 1 effect per turn. So this is one of these cards that you want to be able to discard, you want to be able to get it to the graveyard, you want to be able to send it in one way or another, because you'd probably rather use its graveyard effect. That being said, being able to utilize the first effect when it's being activated on the field can still be really, really useful if you want to make sure that your Artmage Patron power resolves, and of course, being able to make sure that your succession resolves as well. So that's it for the Artmage cards themselves. Moving on to the branded cards. So for the branded cards, we are on 3 Aluba Jester of Despia. So again, this is your core card for the branded strategy, as you are going to be trying to get your branded fusion where at all possible. Now, I do feel we're in a position where you could bring back branded fusion to 3. In the trade-off for that, I would quite happily sacrifice Ra's Disciple and Ido, like any of the lock cards that you can present your opponent with. Get rid of them, absolutely fine. Like, let Branded go back to being not a lock stun deck. So 3 Aluba, everyone should know what this does by now, but this gives you direct access to a branded spell, and that's when you're going to be working into, and I'll just show you the targets now. We've got 3 branded opening. Now this is more so technically acting as a 4th, 5th, and 6th copy of Aluba. You don't really want to be searching this off Aluba, but you do have that option to do so if you want to. Your main target to go for will be, of course, your Branded Fusion. Unfortunately, with it only being at 1, you need to look at ways that you can recycle it. You can play Retribution, as that is another spell or trap that you could technically discard off of the back of the field spell, which is really, really nice to do so. But then I kind of decided to go for a Tragedy instead, just because there are times where being able to utilize Tragedy's effect can be really useful, but then being able to banish it from the graveyard can also be very, very useful. So then on top of that, we are playing the one branded in red. Everyone should know how powerful this card is. 99.9999% of the time, you're actually going to be setting this or getting access to this off of the back of your Albion, the branded dragon, but it's just there as another option you can search off your Aluba. The final branding cards we are playing is the one Fawn of Albaz and the one Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous. Now the Virtuous is one of them cards, as I mentioned previously, that is kind of a card you could arguably sacrifice, like there's no direct reason to be keeping it, but I do like the ability that it acts as another way to fusion summon. And what a lot of people forget is when you actually use this as a fusion summon effect, you don't have to use itself, you just need to be able to fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from the extra deck, using monsters from the hand or field. So it acts as another version of the Patron because it can still use Artmage monsters on the field to get you into any of your Artmage monsters, which I felt was really quite useful. But this is one of the cards you could sacrifice, take out, and play around with a little bit more. So that's it for the branded cards. Now to show you kind of like the breakers or the hand traps. Now I decided to go with the floodgate hand traps that I felt were going to be the most effective, and then the breakers I felt were going to be the most effective. So for the hand traps, 3 Mulchomi Fluoros. Now of course if you have Perulias you can utilize those instead. Apologies, they're in blue sleeves, they're currently in my main deck right now being Blue Eyes White Dragon, but this is just kind of to show you that if you have these, play them. If you don't, you can work in Perulias, and if you don't have Perulias, work to Ash Blossom as your next best alternative. 3 Drone Lockbird, again, like I said, I'm going with like the Floodgate cards. If your place is rampant with Malice, then you'd probably swap these out for Artifact Lancer, but the chances are Drone is going to be a bit more balanced for a range of decks rather than anything else. 2 Forbidden Droplets, again, apologies, they're in different sleeves. These currently belong into the Sky Striker deck that I will be utilising this weekend, so I'm kind of trying to keep everything together. And the reason I went with Forbidden Droplet is I felt it was the most effective field breaker, while also being able to put some spells, some traps, and Medius de Pures into the graveyard, so that I could utilise them as a special summon effect rather than having to use them as my normal summon. And then the final card is 3 Super Poly. Now, the benefit of Super Poly is it can be an aggressor, whether you want to use your opponent's field or not, to work you into your Artmage monsters. It can also be a great way of being able to dodge certain effects, and I absolutely love being able to go normal summon Aluba and they go, cool, activate Imperm, you go, cool, change Super Poly, use Aluba, your light, your dark, boom, get my big Proskydion and still resolve my Aluba. Now, a bit more of a common occurrence will probably be the Quintarius, but that's something that you can kind of adapt to your own personal playstyle and opinion. And then obviously you have your normal Super Poly targets, which I'll show you as we go through the extra deck. Speaking of the extra deck, let's talk about the Artmage Fusion monsters. So you do play 2 Artmage Dictorious. So this card requires Medius de Pure plus an Artmage monster. You get to target a monster on the field, change its battle position. When your opponent activates a card or effect on the field, bit annoying that it's on the field, but if you have 3 or more different monster types on your field, you get a quick effect to negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If this fusion summon card is destroyed, you get to special summon a Medius de Pure from the hand, deck, or banishment. You can only use each effect once per turn. And then your aggressive access through your Artmage cards will be your Nerva, the Power Patron of Creation. Again, bit of a mouthful. So this requires 3 Artmage monsters, and it must first be either fusion summoned or specialed from the extra deck in defense position by tributing 3 monsters with different types. You can only special summon it once per turn. While a card is in the field zone, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Once per turn, when you activate an Artmage monster's effect, you get a quick effect. You can make the activated effect become destroy all cards your opponent controls. Now that's really good when you start looking at like your Grafflair to deal with your opponent's spells and traps. When you look at your Artmage Patron of Power to be able to fusion summon, that's where your Cartesia can come into play, because your Cartesia could be used to make this, and then you can save those 2 trigger effects of stuff like your Grafflair or your quick effects of your Grafflair or even your Finnair or anything like that to turn it into a full field nuke, which can be very, very helpful. Moving on to the other kind of like, not sub-engine, but it's like your branded engine on this one, is the Grand Grignol. So the Grand Grignol is Cartesia plus a light or dark monster. Relatively easy when you look at the Artmages, most of them are lights or darks. The card you can summon off the back of the Grand Grignol will be your Despian Proskelion. It can very easily be the Quintarius. I've also got the Lulu Walith, again can very easily be the Quintarius. So you've got two different options on this one. Then for your branded cards, of course, we do have the one Mirror Jade, one Lubellion, one Albion, with the one Rinbrum. So again, pretty standard of a lineup for branded. I can't imagine any scenario where these cards don't feature in your extra deck when you are evolving branded fusion and the branded monsters in general. Then for your generic kind of fusion play off the back of branded in red, or your Artmage will of course be your Guardian Chimera. And then for your super body targets, but then also targets you can naturally fusion summon as well off the back of Cartesia, you got your Predaplant Dracus Depelia, your Earth Golem Agnista, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, and of course Garura. Now you can adapt these as you see fit. You can open up the extra deck a little bit more with the Artmages. You don't need to always lock yourself down to be fusion summoned for the entire turn like Branded Fusion. So if you don't go through Branded Fusion, you can open up the door to stuff like Cross Sheep, SP Little Knight, Typhon if you wanted to as well. You can adapt your super body targets accordingly to the environment that you're taking this to. This obviously is with Malice in mind, but if Malice don't feature, you can then look at other super body targets. So maybe if Blue Eyes is featuring around a bit more, you can go for the other dragons, which have completely escaped me the name of them, but it's like the Centurion dragons. We got a brand new one in Duelist Advance, so I'll try and find it and remember where I put it. I'm trying to remember exactly where I put it, but either way, you get the idea that you'll be looking for super body targets depending on the environment that you're going to be taking the deck to, and that's when you're going to be the most successful, so you adapt it to your own personal playstyle. So that's it for the entire profile. Hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea of what the deck currently looks like, what you'd be working towards, what you'd be trying to do with it. I do like the synergies between the two. I do like the Artmages in general. I like the fact that they can be played in a multitude of different ways. They can be played as a pure option. They can be played as a option with the branded. It does give you a bit more flexibility in the extra deck because it doesn't have that downside. Like, it only locks you in the extra deck when you have a certain monster on the field or once you've resolved a certain effect, and it's only for the rest of the turn, not the entire turn, like the branded strategy. So it does kind of give you a bit more flexibility to be utilized in different ways, which I think is a really, really cool option. Anyway, that's it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer them where at all possible. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.